Hey guys, today I will be showing you how to do a 360 panorama in vray or any other default 3D Max rendering engine. So first of all, let's just deal with the basic 3D Max in case you guys don't have vray where you're at. Um, the default 3D rendering engines in 3D Max have been increased in numbers in the recent years, so there's a few of them. So if we go to File, Render Setup, in here just to see this, and if we go on the rendering engine here, you can see there's quite a bit of them. So the V-Ray and the Corona is something that I have on my own workstation, so that should not be available to you as a default. And the only one that's actually worth anything is the Art and the Arnold rendering engines. Art is the Autodesk's own rendering engine, and it's not bad, it's nothing great. Whereas Arnold is a standalone rendering engine that's been bought up by Autodesk to be provided in 3D Max versions. So I would suggest you go and look at the Arnold because it's a much better uh, rendering engine than the Art. Or all of these other ones are very basic. If you are installing stuff and you're trying to buy your own rendering engine or you're using a trial version, I would suggest, of course, go for V-Ray. Corona is another one where basically it's the same company that made V-Ray, so basically they're 80, then like 98% the same. So I will always go for V-Ray. So once we go for the V-Ray, we can use the settings here, but for the other options, the default one, we would have to go from our Create tab. We click on the Utilities tab in here, the little spanner there, and usually the panorama explorer is not showing, and to get it showing is to go and click on more and select your panoramic explorer from within, click OK, and it will show up in here, and then you just click on render. Once you do this, you get a bunch of rendering settings in here that you need to set, and the only thing you really want to worry about is the output size. Basically, that's the amount of pixels or the size of your image. The 360 panoramas are usually using 2:1 ratio, meaning that the width, whatever that is twice as big as the height. Okay. So, for example, this to me, the biggest size here is still not good enough for what we would want. So I would suggest you select your width to be 6,000 pixels, and your height will be automatically set as 3,000. And then you click on render. Um, and that should sort of render that camera view, and it will provide you with with your panoramic scene that you can save and then use elsewhere. This is not my preferred method, so I'm not going to do this. I'll show you another way for V-Ray. It's a little bit better, and it just makes it easier to control. Okay. For basically for any other 360 panorama creation, you always need a camera. So you can't use your perspective or your left or right view. You have to have a camera. So you would position your camera. You would create your camera as you would normally, uh, which means you would navigate where you want to go. So I'm just using a default project that I'm currently working on here. So don't pay attention too closely to it. So we can select our perspective anywhere you want to. Click on an empty space here to deselect everything, and then just press Control and C, and basically that creates a camera. Okay. uh, and that's all you need to really do for this. You can position the camera in any specific view normally, because you're sort of just rendering a piece of your scene, but because we are doing this as a 360, it makes no difference which way it shows or which way it's pointing, because it doesn't do anything. It will render the entire 360 anyway. So I would say that's the best method. Just leave it there and let it be. We of course then we need to go into render settings. So we go to rendering and render settings. Let me just switch back to the other camera because I like the view better. There we go. And then we would just go into render setup. Um, you would go under common under output size. You would select custom if it's not there already, and then just input the same thing, 6,000 by 3,000. Um, that will make your aspect ratio 2.0. And from there, we need to go to V-Ray, and under camera here, we just need to, oh, just side note, if you want to quickly have your V-Ray setup scene ready, just select auto exposure and auto white balance, um, and leave everything else as is, and that would almost automatically set up the correct exposure, so you don't have to muck around in the environment settings here as much to get it working properly. So yeah, that's a little quick tip. Sorry, going back on track. Right, so we open up our camera, and under type, we need to select a spherical, and under override, we just need to select it, turn it on, and basically set this to be 360, correct. There we go, and that's all you need to do. Basically, we're just changing from your normal default camera to the spherical 360, and we click on render. And depending on how detailed and big your scene is, it will take a while. I've done this one already, so I know it will take maybe 15 minutes to do. So I'm going to pause now, and we'll go to the next step afterwards, okay? Okay, so once it's rendered, you would just need to go click on save. You would save it somewhere as a JPEG. Yeah, so you would just select this, JPEG, and save as the maximum quality. I'm not going to save because I already saved mine, and that's all there is to it in terms of the saving. Now from this point on, you already have your 360 panorama, but you don't really have any ability to view this anyway. A couple of different options that are quite nice would be the online 360 panorama views, and there's plenty of them. You know, there are things like Visor or Mazipano and so on. I usually use Visor, but at this stage it seems to be down for a few weeks. So I'm not sure if the company went bust or they're just updating something. So we'll just use the Mazipano tool for now. So I'm just going to bring up that page there. So if you go to Mazipano there, I click on the Mazipano tool. That will just allow you to quickly see what the hell you've done thus far. So we go start. Now you can also download a bunch of 360 panorama applications for your desktop, be that iOS or Windows. It's not a problem. You can use those as well. There's a couple of them that are being used by GoPros as well. Honestly, whatever viewer you can find that says it's a 360 view, you can use that to view. It's not a big deal because they're all correct. So in this case, I'm going to find my panorama. I'm just going to drag and drop that one in there. And this particular website is now building all of that based on the boxes. So basically, it's a basic cube, and you are standing inside the cube. So basically, the cube has six sides, and basically, it's applying our image to six sides of the cube to make it work properly. And there you go, it's automatically auto-rotating there. And if we sort of click and drag our mouse, we can sort of see that this is a 360. This is how my render is, because I hit one of the buildings, but I did not hide all the mechanical and electrical components. So we have stuff floating up in the air. That's not a problem. Basically, you can sort of see that this is a proper 360 image, and it's working fine. You can sort of see that if you are if you are dragging this to left to right, that there is a bit of a distortion on the ends. And that's because this is zoomed out, so it's showing you the maximum amount of view. If you use a mouse wheel to zoom in a little bit, you can now see that when you are panning left and right, it's much nicer sort of photo. There's no distortion as much, and that's how it should be. So again, this is, you can now sort of hold on, let me just point it downwards as well. There we go. You can sort of see that now. From here, you can select the full screen buttons. You can sort of actually post this online, and that will be there. So you can then send the link to your clients or to your friends and family and so on. And that's it. That's already a step there. The next step is that we need to make this image that we've created into a 360 ready image for example, Facebook or for your Google Cardboard apps. And the best way to do this is basically already done. The only thing is that these other applications might have issues recognizing your image because you don't have the proper um, um, camera data in your image. And to explain you exactly what I mean, I just need to go back to my image here, and if I right click and go into properties, We can go to security and details tab here. You can sort of see there's a lot of information here that's missing under the camera because we just manually created this image, so it doesn't have a proper camera. So the best way to access the Facebook and Google Cardboard apps and make them work properly without 3D rendered images is to add the camera maker and the camera model in here. So the typical one is the one by Ryko. So basically, we just need to type in Ryko so like this, and the camera model, and this is the real type camera model that actually exists, and it's Ryko Theta S. And if we could spell and make that properly like this, there we good. So that's all you need to do. Under camera maker Ryko, under camera model Ryko Theta S with spacing in between. Just one is good, and there you go, and apply, and that's it. So now when you go and you post it on Facebook, because of this additional data that we placed in our file, it will actually recognize this as a 360 panorama image, and it will automatically make it work. Now I can't connect my Android phone to this to show the Google Cardboard, but once you are in a Google Cardboard mode, you can download any 360 viewer, and you can then open up your modified 360 panorama like this, and just open it up, and it should work like magic. Okay. There's no special deals. There's literally nothing else. The trick was only to go back to your properties and just make sure that under details, you have your camera maker and camera model in there, and it should work as well as it works here. If it doesn't, let us know and we will investigate. But at this stage, it's fairly foolproof. There's not much that could go wrong. So do let us know if there is an issue at all. Okay.